I've witnessed a similar process in Sri Lanka in the aftermath of the 2004 tsunami. People who lived on the beaches for generations were prevented from returning so that the land could be privatized and sold off to luxury hotels. And this is exactly what I mean by the shock doctrine, the systematic raiding of the public sphere in the aftermath of a disaster, when people are too focused on the emergency, on their daily concerns, to protect their interests.
Maybe the first act of resistance is to refuse to allow our collective memory to be wiped. In 2008, Naomi Klein visited Villa Grimaldi with Isabel Morel, the widow of Orlando Letelier. Villa Grimaldi is a memorial to the cruelty of the Pinochet regime and to its eventual defeat.
Villa Grimaldi fue el principal centro de tortura mientras se buscaba implementar la política de shock económico. Esta es la que tú señalas en el libro como las casas de uno por uno donde estaban los detenidos en Villa Grimaldi.
It's not that I loved Pinochet, but I think that he was our teacher in many things. We learned about evil.
In 1998, Pinochet was arrested while he was in London. His old ally, Margaret Thatcher, stood by his side.
I know how much we owe to you.
It took 30 years for the economic experiment originally test-driven by Pinochet to make its way around the globe to Iraq. But the similarities between past and present are startling. Between Pinochet's concentration camps and Bush's Guantanamo detention center. Between the disappeared in Chile and those in Iraq. Between the experiments of Ewan Cameron and the torture meted out on the prisoners of Abu Ghraib.
These are the days and hours.
He erased all the past. That's why he gave electroshocks. All the past from the patient, and he would implant some new ideas.
But Janine resisted. In 1988, the CIA agreed to pay compensation to Janine and other victims of Ewan Cameron's experiments.
Janine, are you proud that they tried to break you and that you have fought so hard and won?
In a way I am. In a way I am. Because I must have some willpower seeds in me. It is very, very hard to fight a government. People would tell me, Janine, you don't fight a government. What's the matter with you? They're too big. But I had faith that we would win.
It is in the nature of unregulated markets to be volatile. Bubbles are allowed to inflate, and then, inevitably, they burst. Since the deregulation of the Big Bang in the 80s, there have been a number of market shocks. In 1987, there was Black Monday. Markets fell spectacularly. It was the largest one-day percentage decline in stock market history. In 1992, there was Black Wednesday, when currency speculators made fortunes betting against the pound. In 1997, there was the Asian contagion. In 1 year, $600 billion disappeared from the stock markets of Asia. And then, in September 2008, the financial markets imploded.
The market is not functioning properly. There has been a widespread loss of confidence.
September the 15th, Lehman Brothers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Yet only 1 week later, it was announced that workers at their New York office would share $2.5 billion in bonuses. It is estimated that Wall Street firms paid $18.4 billion in bonuses last year, the year of the crash.
Despite the torrent of populist rhetoric about taking on the fat cats and standing up for the little guy and saving Main Street, not Wall Street, we are witnessing a transfer of wealth of unfathomable size. It is a transfer of wealth from public hands, from the hands of government, collected from regular people in the form of taxes, into the hands of the wealthiest corporations and individuals in the world. Needless to say, the very individuals and corporations that created this crisis.
We are in the midst of a once-in-a-century credit tsunami. I found a flaw. I don't know how significant or permanent it is, but I've been very distressed by that fact.
In the United States, it was the financial crisis that secured Obama's victory. Americans wanted to change course.
Hello, Chicago!
This crisis is clearly understood by almost everyone as being the direct result of this particular ideology of deregulation and privatization.
The scale of the crisis offers the hope of change.
The shock doctrine as a strategy relies on us not knowing about it for it to work. And what I find most hopeful about the current economic crisis is that this tactic is getting tired, because that element of surprise is no longer there. We're on to them, and it's not working. We're becoming shock resistant.
The last time the world suffered a financial crisis as severe as this, people turned to the Keynesian policies of the New Deal.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
More than 1 million people came to Washington to hear Obama's inauguration speech. Many journalists made comparisons with FDR.
Now, there's been a lot of talk recently about comparing Obama to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So I want to talk a little bit about FDR, because there's a great FDR story, and it could be an apocryphal one, about when he would be visited by some progressive organization or a union, and they would be proposing some new progressive policy that they wanted to be part of the New Deal. And he would hear them out, and he would listen to them, and then at the end he would say, "Now go out there and make me do it." And they did. In 1937, which was a pivotal year for the New Deal, do you know how many strikes there were in this country? 4,740 strikes, lasting an average of 20 days. Do you know how many strikes there were in 2007? 21. Now, the other reason to remember this history of struggle is that it tells us something very important, something that we need to remember at this moment when so much is at stake. It teaches us that if we want responses to this economic crisis that leave us with a world that is healthier, that is more just, that is more peaceful, we are going to have to go out there and make them do it. Thank you.
La práctica privatización de todo el espacio público, inclusive sorteando lo que pudieran ser los escollos de los recursos naturales. Para ellos siempre somos escollos, quienes nos oponemos terminamos siendo estas piedras en los zapatos, quienes incluso desde los medios de comunicación plantean una mirada disruptiva frente a la lobotomización que siempre introduce este amor a las sociedades vinculadas a la propiedad privada dentro de los medios masivos de comunicación. Incluso en posiciones de inferioridad nos encontramos frente a estas permanentes escollos, estas pequeñas hendiduras que hay en ese muro pareciera impenetrable, que tiene que ver con cuestionar permanentemente la usurpación del espacio público por el orden privado, cómo han transformado a través de la publicidad que el interés de una corporación pareciera ser el interés de toda una sociedad, ¿no? Como decía el filósofo alemán Jürgen Habermas, ¿no? Transformar el objetivo del interés privado en un objetivo público, ¿no? Que las ventas de la Coca-Cola en realidad son ventas que nos benefician a todos. Siempre pienso en eso cuando veo que McDonald's, uno de los símbolos de la comida basura, de la comida chatarra, auspicia competencias deportivas, ¿no? Todo un paroxismo. Esto tiene que ver con lo que está pasando en Chile. Por eso hoy habíamos decidido trabajar con este documental, el cual adaptamos para la emisión en televisión en nuestro humilde espacio. Me queda esta reflexión. Creo que la derecha latinoamericana, fundamentalmente la derecha sudamericana, no admiraba a Chile por su modelo económico. Creo que ellos admiraban el silencio de los pobres. Nos despedimos hasta la semana que viene acá por nuestro canal con más Cartago. Hasta entonces.